Welcome and or welcome back to my channel. I'm Hannah Blackwell, and today I'm going to be talking about all of the 2025 releases that I am so flipping excited about. So I have about 16 or 17 books here that are coming out in 2025 that I am super excited for. These are mostly fantasy romance, but there's also cozy fantasy / cozy romantasy as well. It's going to be a good time. I can't wait for these. There's so many wonderful books coming out in 2025. They just look so flipping good. I'm pumped, guys. I'm pumped. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I'd love to have you do so. All of my social media is linked down below in the description, including my Goodreads Instagram, my Patreon, and the link to the Hideaway Discord. I'm sure I'm going to forget books on here, so please let me know down in the comments any books that I've missed, any books that you're really excited for that you think that I'd be interested in too. And with all that out of the way, let's get into this video. So I do have this in chronological order, except for the first book, which does not have a specific release date, but it is supposed to come out in 2025, and that is Burn of the Everflame by Penn Cole. This is the fourth book, and I think it's supposed to be the final book in the Kindred's Curse saga. I have read the first book in this series, and I loved it. I cannot wait to continue on in the series. Hopefully I can read books 2 and 3 in 2025, and then also read the new release as well. I'm already in love with this series. I can't wait to continue on. This is a fantasy romance series where our heroine's mom has gone missing. She lives in this city where there are fae. They're called like the Descended. And then there's regular humans. The humans are a little bit more on the impoverished side. The Descended are like upper class and the humans are lower class. They're impoverished, and our heroine is a healer. Her mom goes missing and she ends up having to go to the castle to heal some Descended children. From there, everything goes crazy. There's so much going on in this series. There are uprisings, rebellions, war. There's just a lot going on. A little bit of a love triangle too. And like I said, I just can't wait to get to book 2. But yeah, the final book I think is supposed to come out in 2025. Okay, from there, we're going to start with January. The first book I'm going to talk about is The Trials of Darkness by Catherine Bro, I believe is how it's pronounced. This is supposed to be a dark fantasy romance. It really seems to me when I was reading the synopsis like this is a combination of our heroine being Elsa, but also like the heroine from Brave. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but she is having to win her own hand in marriage. Her dad is like this evil king, and he has decided to go ahead and get his daughter married. She's a little bit worried about her powers getting out of control, and when she finds out that there's going to be this competition for her hand in marriage, she decides to take matters into her own hand, enter the competition, and try to win her own hand because she doesn't want to get married to any of these dudes. And she enters the competition and things get really dangerous. She becomes much more worried about survival than even the whole marriage situation. I just think it sounds like such a cool synopsis. I'm very intrigued to learn more about her powers. The magic in this world seems like it's going to be very intriguing. And if I didn't already mention, that book is coming out on January 4th. Next, being released on January 16th is The Baby Dragon Cafe. This is by Amna Qureshi, and it's about a woman who opens up a cafe for baby dragons and their human companions. I can't even say that without like laughing. Like I can't say it with a straight face. Baby dragons and their human companions. And she's opening up this cafe, but she doesn't realize how expensive it's going to get with all of the burned furniture and destruction that these baby dragons are causing. This is costing her a lot of money, and so she has to overcome that while also apparently falling in love with a gardener. So it is a romance. There's a romance between the gardener and the owner of this baby dragon cafe, and obviously there's baby dragons, and it's supposed to be a cozy fantasy / cozy romantasy, and I'm just so here for it. I am so excited for this one. It sounds like possibly the cutest book I will ever read. I have to read it now. And on January 21st, I know that we are all thinking about Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. This is going to be the third book in the Empyrean series. The first book was Fourth Wing, and it took the world by storm. Book 2, Iron Flame, was not as popular. I know a lot of people weren't huge fans of it. I do have some friends that actually really enjoyed it. I personally soft DNF'd it, and I'm about to be picking it back up, so I will let you know my thoughts in upcoming videos. I'm still really excited to continue on, and I know everyone's very excited about book 3. So this is about a Dragon Rider Academy. Our heroine is physically disabled. She has a disability that affects her joints. She thinks she's going to be working in like the library, basically. It's not called the library. I can't remember what it's called right now, but she doesn't think she's going to be a warrior, but she ends up being sent to this warrior dragon rider academy where it's super dangerous. Students, teachers, dragons, everything at this academy are trying to kill you, and she is just trying to survive. Everyone is just trying to survive. The survival rate is very low. Here she meets the hero, and it is a enemies to lovers type of romance. I really loved the first book. I need to continue on, like I said, and I know everyone's really excited to see what happens next in the series. So on to February. Another book I'm so excited for continuing on in the series is Emily Wilde, and on February 11th, Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales is coming out. I cannot wait to read this book. My favorite book of the year last year, I read book 1 and 2. Like I read book 1 at the beginning of the year, and then towards the end of the year I think I read book 2. I can't remember. I love Emily Wilde. I love this series. I just think it's super cute. She is like a professor that is investigating fae. So she teaches about fae and all of the different kinds of fae around the world, and there's a lot of different kinds of fae. Some of them are more dangerous than others. So she is off investigating the fae in, I think it might be Norway or Finland in the first book. She is just trying to get along with the people of this town. She's very curmudgeon-y. She doesn't seem to be able to relate to people very well, and she's just trying to do her research. And one of her colleagues shows up, Brambleby, and he shows up and he gets along with everyone, but he is making her life difficult. Like they do not get along. Like they do and they don't, and it's a very cute. There is a lot of banter and just adorableness, and then fae and adventure. And it's like I would say cozy, but with like a little bit higher stakes. It's not like the coziest of cozy fantasies, but I would definitely still call it a cozy fantasy. Maybe even cozy romantasy. I just can't wait for book 3. I can't wait to see what they get up to in this one. It's going to be so cute. I love this series. Next, I have a book 1 in a new series, and this is also being released on February 11th. And this is called Ruins of Starlight, and this is by B.C. Fajan. And this follows our heroine who is on the search for her missing brother. She joins this like guard, somehow meets the hero in the process. The hero himself is cursed, and they make some kind of deal together, I think, where he's going to help her, she's going to help him, and things go from there. The synopsis confuses me a touch, but it does look like some tropes that I really like, where the hero and the heroine are making a deal to kind of work together, almost kind of similar to fake dating. And I do love like a hero or heroine like on a search for a loved one. I also like that trope too. So it sounds really interesting. The cover is really pretty, and there's not that many reviews yet from ARCs, but the ones that we do have are super highly rated. Like this is getting a lot of good ratings. Next, I have a book from an author that I freaking adore, and that's Kimberly Lemming. And this book is being released on February 18th. This is I Got Abducted by Aliens and Now I'm Trapped in a Rom-Com. The title alone is freaking hilarious, but the cover is also really cool. Like I'm obsessed with this cover. There are dinosaurs. So it looks like we have, is that a lion? Definitely an alien. So we've got aliens, dinosaurs, a rom-com, and it looks like she's maybe like in a jungle of sorts. I don't even know. This looks ridiculous, but amazing. Kimberly Lemming writes really spicy, fun, cozy romantasy, and I'm excited for it. I love her sense of humor. I love her writing. I just can't wait to see what she comes up with. Next is about a woman who gets dropped on a strange planet only to fall for 2 aliens. So this is this Why Choose? Is this poly? So this might be poly or Why Choose. Maybe like a throuple. I'm not sure. Sorry, my rooster is literally crowing by my back door right now. But yeah, this looks really good, and I'm excited for that one. And then I have a book that I actually just heard about from Honest Fiction. She was talking about this one on her 2025 anticipated releases video. I'll have that linked down below in the description. But this is When the Stars Were Devoured. So in this one, our heroine is joining some kind of rebellion to assassinate a king. She has these powers of illusion that are considered to be very rare, and they're hopefully going to be helpful in this rebellion. It looks like a political fantasy romance. From what I know, it's pretty dark too. It looks like it's captive, but maybe she is capturing the hero. He's the king's royal executioner, and he's called the Devourer. And it says the Devourer is as ruthless as his magic. So I love that this is kind of reverse things. We have a heroine who has this really awesome, powerful, rare magic, and then she is capturing the hero. So I like that kind of reverse on it. This is supposed to be a dark fantasy romance, and it sounds really cool. Another book 1 of a fantasy romance is coming out on March 11th, and that is Shades of Power. This is by Jenny Grimes. This is really interesting because the magic system sounds intriguing to me. It almost reminds me of Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson because it involves color magic. This is sounding kind of confusing to me, so I am actually going to read you guys the synopsis for this one. It says, how many pieces of your soul can you give away before you break? In a fairy hierarchy built upon one's ability to produce specific color-driven magic, Opal is an outcast and on the cusp of giving up on her future at court. While visiting the human realm, she witnesses a dark magic shadow beast attack a human, a beast which should have forever been imprisoned in the Shadowlands. Upon her return home to the fairy realm, she finds the Shade Palace is in chaos. The vampiric dark princes are ready to start a war over old wounds and court prejudices. So it sounds like she's trying to navigate trying to save her realm while also a romantasy blooms from there. It sounds like this is fae, but like vampiric fae. So fae who drink blood, which I usually like that trope too. And it sounds pretty good. Kind of a complicated synopsis, but it has me very intrigued. Okay, next we have Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. This is the second book in this. I think it's going to be just a duology. The first book was Phantasma, and that follows a different couple than this one. So I'm really excited to see like what happens next. I think it just kind of like takes place in the same world. I don't think it does kind of the same plot line. And I think this follows the other sister, and she gets trapped when an Italian getaway turns deadly. And it looks like she's trapped in her host family's cursed game. Maybe the game is called Enchantra, I'm not sure. She arrives at her mysterious friend's grand palace. It says she's expecting passion and magic, decadence and luxury, perhaps even a midnight ball, but instead it looks like the owner's ruthlessly handsome son slams the door in her face. Okay, so she basically sneaks in and it looks like his family's actually stuck playing this insidious game of hide and seek. Okay, I am really excited for this. This sounds really interesting to me. So it sounds like kind of similar to Phantasma in that it is some kind of magical competition, but it's a different magical competition at a different location, at an Italian palace. Okay, that sounds really cool, and I'm excited to read that one. Okay, next I have a book being released by Bramble. This is coming out on April 8th, and this is Juliet Cross, Firebird. And Juliet Cross is an author that I've read two of her books before that were both in that same, like that cozy, paranormal, witchy series. And I read the first two books in that series. I haven't continued on, but I know that she came out with a fantasy romance this year, and it definitely got mixed reviews. But this one really, really intrigues me, both the cover and the synopsis. It says it's a mixture between House of Dragon and From Blood and Ash, and it is a dark romantasy. It's set in a Rome where dragons rule, so there's dragons as well. And this is another Italy location. Interesting. Looks like we have a theme of Italian romantasy in 2025. It looks like the dragons in here actually are shifters, so that they're dragon shifters, which I always like a dragon shifter. I'm not sure what age range this is because currently on Goodreads it's tagged as adult, new adult, and YA. So I really don't know. It's supposed to be very spicy though, so I would assume it's adult to new adult. Okay, next I have one that's really intriguing to me. It's supposed to be like a Gothic romantasy, and it's called House of Blight. This is coming out on April 8th, and it's by Maxime Martineau. The cover for this one is absolutely stunning. I love the cover, but it says it's supposed to be an eerily, darkly creative and romantic Gothic fantasy romance. It's for readers of Sarah J. Maas and Rachel Gillig. Now, Rachel Gillig wrote One Dark Window, and she actually has a book coming out in 2025 I will be talking about later on, but she writes Gothic romantasy, and I haven't read her yet, but I really, really want to. I just haven't gotten around to it. Our heroine in this one is a healer, but she keeps her magic hidden because magic in this world comes at a price. And it looks like the romance is with a hero called Oren, who is an elite, like a ruler, and he has a sickness, and they're kind of working together, I believe, to try to cure his sickness. And I guess they fall in love from there. The cover and the description of a Gothic fantasy romance, especially with like healing abilities and the whole magic comes with a price kind of trope, I really love that, and this is definitely intriguing to me. Another book that I'm excited for is by Sangu Mandana. If you guys didn't already know, The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana was one of my favorite books last year, and I just fell in love with it. Well, this is a kind of similar, set in the same world book, but following different heroine and hero. And this one is supposed to come out on April 29th. In this world, from what I remember in the first one, like witches kind of had to kind of keep a distance from each other because too much magic in one place could cause chaos. And so witches end up kind of feeling alone and isolated. And the heroine in this one, it looks like, is going to her aunt's inn to help her run it because her aunt needs help running the inn. And the heroine also has like lost her powers and she's trying to restore her powers. And it might even be a second chance romance because the hero is Luke, who is a historian, and she and him actually had a one-night stand many years ago, and it's a romance between the two of them. It looks like it's Grumpy Sunshine too, where the hero is grumpy and the heroine is Sunshine. And it looks like there's a fox companion in this one too. And I love animal companions, so I'm really excited for that. A fox companion is really unique and cute. I just can't wait for another cozy romantasy from Sangu Mandana. So on May 6th, I was really surprised to see that Devney Perry is coming out with her romantasy debut. This one is called Shield of Sparrows. She ends up having to travel along with this monster slayer, and so this is supposed to be like a Witcher meets Cinderella kind of story. Devney Perry is kind of staying tight-lipped about the synopsis and about what this book is really about, and I'm very intrigued. The cover is gorgeous. It looks like the edition is going to have like wraparound sprayed edges that kind of continue on the cover, and it's really gorgeous, and I'm excited because I have read a couple of Devney Perry's romantic suspense books and really enjoyed them. They're kind of more like small town with like a touch of romantic suspense. Like it's not super suspenseful, but I really liked the books that I read by her, and so I'm intrigued to read her romantasy debut. On May 13th, Danielle L. Jensen is coming out with the second book in her duology. It's like a Norse-inspired duology. This book is called A Curse Carved in Bone, and the first book in the series is A Fate Inked in Blood. It's on my December TBR. I really need to get to it. There's a bunch of books I need to get to, and I'm kind of failing my TBR so far this month, but it happens. But this is like a Viking-inspired fantasy romance where our heroine has a drop of God's blood and she's trying to keep that hidden. She's married, but her husband, I think, treats her very poorly, and she falls in love with her stepson maybe when the two have to compete against one another. And so it's kind of like a taboo enemies to lovers, but it sounds a little bit more complicated than that. And then also, like I said, like Viking inspired. I think there's some Norse mythology themes in here too. I'm intrigued. I need to pick up book 1, and book 2 is coming out next year. Okay, and then the Rachel Gillig Gothic fantasy romance I was talking about earlier, that is coming out on May 20th. And this is The Night and the Moth. This is a new series by her, and the cover is flipping stunning. So stunning. And I know that there is just a lot of hype around this one, especially after her success with the One Dark Window duology. And it says it's a gothic mist-cloaked tale of a prophetess who is forced beyond the safety of her cloister on an impossible quest to defeat the gods with the one knight whose future is beyond her sight. So that sounds very intriguing. So she is maybe like a psychic of some sort, but she's not divine when it comes to the hero. Interesting. This really has me intrigued. I love books with like visions and being able to like see the future and that being like the magic in it, and that sounds very intriguing to me. I also have The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst. Now, I softy enough on accident, like I didn't want to softy enough, her release from this last year, which was The Spell Shop, and that was kind of in the same vein. They have similar art styles on the cover, so I'm not sure if they're taking place in the same world or not. But that one, I lost my library hold on it, so I need to get that book. I do. I really want to continue on and read it. Okay, so this definitely takes place in the same world, because this is about the woman who was turned into a statue when she created the spider plant from the first book. So she created this sentient spider plant who is the plant, not like an animal companion, like a sentient plant companion to the heroine in the first book. And she is punished. She's turned into the statue when she uses magic she's not supposed to use, and her statue is there in the library where the first book starts. I guess this is about her. One day she wakes up in the cold of winter on a nearly deserted island full of hundreds of magical greenhouses. I don't even want to read the rest of the synopsis because I don't want to be spoiled for anything. I just want to be able to like ride along with this and experience experience what sounds like it's going to be a magical, amazing time. I need to finish on with the spell shop, and I cannot wait for this next edition in this world. And finally, we have Sarah A. Parker. Y'all know she's probably one of my favorite Romantasy authors of all time. This is the follow-up to When the Moon Hatched. And so this is Moonfall number 2. It's called The Ballad of Falling Dragons. When the Moon Hatched, this follows our heroine who is an assassin. It does feel a little bit Throne of Glassy, I know some people have said, but I think it's much better. Our heroine's name is Rave, and in this world, dragons, they like rise in the sky and become moons when they die. So there's like all these moons. There's tons of moons in the sky, and they are starting to fall. And Rave is working for this rebellion group where she is like an assassin, and it's like an enemies to star-crossed lovers story. I just feel like I can't even talk about this book without spoiling it. So if you haven't read it, read it. The writing style is very flowery, very beautiful. Some people love it, some people don't, but she definitely has her own way of telling a story and her own writing style, and it's unique. You can say one thing, no one else writes like Sarah A. Parker. They just don't. And I can't wait to read the second book. I also have to say, I'm very much hoping we get a 4th Crystal Bloom book because the first 3 books are out. It's been almost 2 years since we've gotten a book in the Crystal Bloom series. She started doing When the Moon Hatched, and now she's coming out with the second book. I'm sure she's having to push a schedule because that one is traditionally published. So with her Crystal Bloom being indie pub, I think she's just putting it out when she can. But I'm really hoping we get a 4th book because I need to know what's going to happen with like my favorite heroine, Orlaith. Like I need to know. So I'm very hopeful that we do get that also in 2025. So there you have it. Those are all the books that are being released in 2025 that I'm so excited about. If I've forgotten anything, which I'm sure I have, let me know down below in the comments. If you like this video, go ahead and click the like button. You can check out all of my social media. It's linked down below in the description, including my Goodreads, Instagram, my Patreon, and the link to the Hideaway Discord. Until next time, fellow readers, keep reading and living your best life.
Tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away.